Ah, look at you guys. You caught me with my pouring water into a bottle. It makes me have to, and just watching that whole process makes me have to pee. I'm going to tell you about my pee in a little while. So you're going to want to stick around and listen to that. I got something to tell you about my pee. Like the actual urine. You're going to love it. And I'm going to wait till I bring Party Foul Steve on. You already know he's on there because you saw the little Party Foul peep. He was there at the beginning. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I'm sad, actually. I don't know. I'm not sad. I'm just kind of, You ever get that way? I want to see you in the chat. You ever just kind of, I don't know how you spell that. I don't know if Graham has a emoji for, but that's the way I feel. Because I'm just sick of the bombardment of crap. You know what I'm saying? I think I slept 2 hours last night. You know why I woke up? I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She tells you I went to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. I actually sort of went to bed earlier than that, but I was just kind of, I was wired up. Death threats will do that to you. You know what I'm saying? Like when people are coming after you and you're getting, and people are sending you messages and they want to kill you because the Department of Justice isn't doing what they want them to do. And somehow that's our fault, I guess. I don't know. So I went to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 3. And you know what I woke up for? I woke up, and sometimes when I wake up like that, the first thing I do, like when I'm wide awake, is whack-ow. And you're like, zing, zing. And you just know, like, I'm awake. I'm like, okay, God, what do you want me to pray about? What do you want me to pray about? And that's what I do. And then I wound up praying for a while, wound up writing for a little while, and just kind of getting into my creative side of stuff, and just boom, there it was. Because I knew it was going to be a big day. I knew it was going to be a lot of stuff coming our way. And, it's been, if you were watching the Dear America program, I exposed the contents of, we talked about the binders. And I read to you guys my invitation to the White House. I proved to everybody publicly, if you missed that, I read the letter that invited us of what we were going to the White House for back in February. It wasn't about an Epstein binder. It wasn't about any of that, all that stuff. Wasn't about any of that. But, here we are. Somehow it's all our faults, and that's okay. You ought to be pissed off. You ought to be angry. God knows I'm angry. I got to jump on Chris Salcedo's show in a little while on another network on Newsmax. I can say that. And I got to have a debate with my friend Chris Hinkle. We're going to talk. He's former FBI. We're going to talk about whether there's a cover-up or not. I'm going to come from the position of it's a cover-up. You can tune in on Newsmax later on and watch that. And then I got to be on Todd Starnes' show later on. I'm all talked out, folks. I'm all talked out. And I just want to tell you about what my pee looks like. Let's go. You guys ready to rock and roll? All right, you guys are in here. While you're hanging out with us, let me tell you 2 things. One, if you go over to my website at prathertees.com, if you shop, you say, I don't need any more T-shirts. I'm telling you, if you shop, we got some clearance stuff. We got all the stuff. If you shop in there, 100% of the proceeds this week are going to go to flood victims. They're going to go to help. I don't know what they're going to go to, but we won't make a dime. We'll pay Cindy for packing the boxes and the bags and shipping them out. But other than that, 100% of the proceeds are going to go to Texas, this tragedy in Texas, okay? We're trying to do as much as we can. We have... my dear friend Brianna Morello, as you know, she's been working real hard. We were coordinating yesterday, getting a lot of goods sent down there. Bless her heart, she had about 3,000 items that were sent to her house. We were trying to figure out how we were going to get them down there. The driver of the truck was spitting up blood. It was a bad situation. I mean, I'm telling you, talk about things to pray about. But God bless, ended up with a private jet to carry that stuff down there. Man, God is good. There's a lot of people down there doing a lot of good. I talked to Alyssa Allen, Graham's wife, Alyssa. She texted earlier. She's down there now, and they're working. And I know our friend Matt Best over at Black Rifle Coffee, they're working down there doing a lot of stuff. There's Brianna. Look at her in front of that jet, man. And this is stuff. This was just the quicker picker-upper right there, the bounty. Look at all the stuff. And so we've been coordinating. She's been working really hard. Several people have been doing this to figure out what items are needed. I think we still need to do a deal where we get a collection of bug spray. And we might be too late for that. I don't know. I think we need to do like some off. That's something that people don't ever think about is bug spray. They don't think about the animal stuff. They need bleach down there. So we may do another deal. I'll put it on there where we'll just basically do an Amazon list, and you guys can contribute if you want. Every time tragedy hits, and we've had all kind of things that have happened, whenever we raise money for it, it always gets a little icky and hokey because people always accuse you of not giving them money, which is just, you got to be a special kind of scum to capitalize off a tragedy. You just really do. And we love this great state of Texas. And I gotta just say, our friend Pat Green, the great legendary Texas musician out of Fort Worth, God bless him. Pray for he and his family, man. They lost his brother and sister-in-law and their kids in this. And we're just all heartbroken. This has affected everybody. Everybody's connected, and it's crazy. But it's so encouraging when we see not only the reports coming back, but the people that are going down. All these people online that want to talk about, oh, you canceled out FEMA and the NOAA, and you did, oh, good on you. All these yakkos, just idiot, insane people that are wishing ill on people while people are still looking for bodies. And you know what? Texas pulls together. You see, when you compare what happened with Hurricane Irene and Katrina in Louisiana, and then you compare that, how long it took for them to get FEMA down there, and it was a mess. You still got abandoned buildings down there in New Orleans because of Katrina. When Harvey hit, we showed up. And when I say we, you need to go over there. If you don't know what we did, you need to search Chad Prather, Hurricane Harvey, Fox News, and you'll see the clip of what we did. Me and my rednecks with Paychecks brothers, we got those four-wheel drives together. They caravan down there. They were able to go into places where the Corps of Engineers couldn't get to and rescue people. These off-road vehicles that are just monstrosities, those were able to be used to get those people out of there. I'm telling you, you put some redneck ingenuity with Texas willingness. This is where you see Texans rise up. And it's not just Texans, people coming from all over. It's amazing. It does a heart good, honestly, in the face of tragedy, and there's not a lot that does your heart good in the middle of tragedy because these stories are horrific. So, people ask about this Texas Forever shirt. This is a Chip Gaines shirt from back when, I think this was Hurricane Harvey. There was a few things that happened, and I picked this thing out and I wore it, and just praying about this whole situation. So let me tell you, before we get into today's press conference with Trump and some other things, our friends over at Patriot Protect, 84 million passwords were leaked, and you might be the next target. So that was they uncovered an AT&T breach that exposed, 184 million. I always do that wrong. That's your login credentials, complete with usernames, passwords, email addresses, unencrypted, wide open, online. The data's already circulating on the dark web with scammers searching for their next victim. And these aren't old logins from obscure sites. This breach includes access to bank accounts, email providers, healthcare portals, even government services. Criminals don't need to hack anymore. They just log in. And that's where our friends over at Patriot Protect come in. Man, they've done me a solid. Let me just tell you what they've done. You go over to patriot-protect.com/Chad, and you get in there and you get their blackout service as well as sign up for their monthly Patriot Protect, and they're going to deal with hiding your email address, your phone numbers, all of these kind of things that get shopped on the dark web and on the internet. And you use promo code Chad over there, and I think it works out to about $7 a month. Every single person can afford $7 a month, and you need to sign up with them because you are a target, I promise you. And their blackout, what that does, that's a one-time fee. That is that advanced dark web scan, and it's going to show you if your email address or phone number has been actively for sale in the dark web markets. So you need to find out. That's what you need to do. All right, patriot-protect.com/Chad. Tell them I sent you. Save a little money. Promo code Chad. Party Foul Steve is in the house. What's up? Where you at, buddy? Bring him on. Party Foul. Ding dong.
There I am.
There you are.
Popped up just like that.
Steve,
go crazy.
Let me tell you about my pee.
I'm sure it's blue.
Don't steal my thunder.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, we're all about stealing thunder today.
Yeah, we are. We are. But my pee is blue. People ask me, they're like, why would your pee be blue? Let me just tell you, when you go into the bathroom that's right off of this studio right here, when you go in there, men don't realize just how much they do splatter unless your pee is blue. because it will show up like the smallest little tiniest. You come back the next deal, you're like, wow, there's a blue spot right there, and that blue doesn't come out. The blue doesn't come out. You really got to scrub that blue. So yes, my pee looks like Listerine.
Man,
Steve,
I went in the restroom behind you at a public place over the weekend, and I knew you had been there because the water was blue.
that's right. And what did I say to you? I wanted them to feel like they had cleaned the toilets.
Yes.
Because it looked like the blue cleaner was in there.
But I knew that was not the case. That bathroom's usually
Well, it
clean,
freaked
but
me out
clear.
a week ago. Saturday was a week ago. We were at that Boots for Troops gala, and I went into the bathroom, and I really had to go, and it shocked me because I was like, whoa, that's really blue. And so I remembered that I'd been taking methylene blue.
What is that? What does methylene blue do? I know.
They claim there's claims out there that it's got cancer fighting agents, but it's for mental clarity and sharpness and things like that.
Joe Rogan said it. It must be true.
Well, I had never heard Joe say it, but now I have, and now I've mentioned it. But like, I went over to All Family Pharmacy and I got it because I was like, hey, if it makes my brain clearer, I want to try it. And I don't know. I can't say. I mean, I'm pretty sharp.
Do they have that? I want to do the ivermectin deworming process.
That's what I do. And they'll let you get a COVID dose or a anti-parasitic dose over there, and that's what I did.
I want to see if I have any parasites.
You do. Trust me, my friend.
I eat a lot of sushi. So
you eat a lot of
I probably have a worm.
So yeah. But you know what gives me the mental clarity more than anything is Make Wellness. If you haven't joined my team, you need to.
There you go. Or join me. I set up my partyfoulsteve.com. It goes straight to my Make Wellness link.
And that worked?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it works. Go straight to my link. So I don't have my store open right now. So
yeah.
I don't have time to mess with my little store. So I got bigger stores.
People asked about the T-shirts, prathertees.com.
Yeah, you should probably throw up a link over there in your.
I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for it. prathertees.com. You can do it. And I will say this. I think that what I'm going to start doing, the future of T-shirts and Chad Prather. Thank you, David, Mr. Producer. I think what I'm going to do, if you go to watchchad.com, there's a shop link in there. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm starting putting out one T-shirt a month. And I'd love to see what you guys think in the chat. Just one new design a month. And if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll go on to the next month. I just don't want to keep inventory anymore. And that's a boring story. So we'll get off of that. We won't talk about my blue pea anymore either. Party Foul Steve. Oh, Party Foul Steve. All right. So Trump had the press conference this morning at the cabinet meeting. I don't know what anybody was expecting. I was hoping that they were going to come out and make a statement about the fact that the DOJ is not apparently doing anything about the Epstein deal. Your take on the Epstein deal before we get into this, Party Foul Steve?
My take on it is Chad's never wrong. You said many times that there is no list, or at least they would say that there is no list. And so I'll give you credit there. You were right there. I was not expecting there is no list.
Yeah.
How do you lock up Ghislaine Maxwell? I understand she was guilty of trafficking minors. Who was she trafficking them to? Just Jeffrey Epstein? You can't tell me that that's true.
Right.
So there has to be people. That evidence, if there was any, was destroyed.
Right. And I'm just telling you that there's first of all, nobody trusts the government, and now we're just supposed to trust the government on this whole thing. Go ahead.
I don't like how Donald Trump got on there and he almost protested too much. He should have said, we're not going to talk about that right now. We have other things that are more important.
Well, here's the clip. To me, it felt like gaslighting.
Yes.
And again, everybody thinks I'm mad. I'm not mad at Trump. I just felt like it was gaslighting. It's a legitimate question. It's a relevant question. It's a timely question. Play the clip. Let's see what he said.
Yeah, sure.
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes,
this
sir.
guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Yes, we are.
That is Unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
They could have released that information a long time ago about nothing but child porn on the computer.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't go to prison for child porn.
No.
He got a sweetheart deal in 2008, and they blocked the knowledge of his co-conspirators. They would not let the victims know who his co-conspirators were. A federal judge later overruled that and said that that was not legal. Then Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison with no other guilty parties. So I don't know who she trafficked people to, children to. Pam Bondi, when she said it was sitting on the desk to review, she said there were tens of thousands of videos, and now you're going to say that was all just child porn? She said it was happening. We were all publicly hopeful. Now she says it's child porn, nothing more, can't be released. Look, nobody's asking for victim exploitation. We're asking why Pam Bondi said a client list existed, and now the DOJ says that it never did, because to me, that's not a policy, that's a contradiction. I'd love to see what you guys say in the chat.
I think they've all been bought. I think all been I hate to say it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'm a Trump supporter, but I also don't absolutely 100% trust him. But you don't have to trust everybody that, in the whole organization. I don't trust none of them.
Well, Pam Bondi, nobody wants me to bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up. But when Pam Bondi was the attorney general, she was paid by the Trump organization to look the other way on some things.
I have no doubt about it.
Do your search. Let's do it. Let's just do it right now in the deal. Let's just go ahead and ask, did Pam Bondi receive money from the Trump organization in Florida as a G? Let's see what it says. See if I'm wrong. See if I'm wrong.
I don't think you're going to be wrong. See what AI generates.
It says, yes, Pam Bondi, while serving as Florida's Attorney General in 2013, received a $25,000 donation from the Donald J. Trump Foundation via her political fundraising committee and Justice for All. The timeline's well documented. It was August 2013. It was at a time when the office was considering joining New York's lawsuit against Trump University. On September 17th, 2013, the Trump Foundation deposited $25,000 into Bondi's PAC. Shortly after that donation, Bondi's office declined to take action on the Trump University complaints. Investigative reporting and watchdog groups noted that Bondi personally solicited the contribution from Trump prior to the decision. In 2016, Trump Foundation paid a $2,500 penalty, and Trump personally reimbursed the entire $25,000 to the foundation. The IRS ruled that the donation was improper under 501c3 rules. All I'm saying is, you can don't throw water on the fire alarm. I'm just saying, as the messenger, there's a track record. There's a track record of covering some things up or inaction on the part of her as the Attorney General when told to stand down. If you can be bought, you can be bought.
Yeah, and that's including some others up there in the DOJ and the FBI and all of them.
I've never wanted to be so wrong about something in my life. Ever.
I mean, these are we got, and you know, you got what about Bongino? That's for years and years. Just there has to be, there is it. Now there's nothing.
Here's what I said about Dan and Cash this morning, especially Dan. Dan's told the truth for a long time, and I think that he deserves some grace and a little bit of a period here to be able to prove himself or to figure what, you know, we need to figure this out. And we may never know because again, Dan doesn't have that power. He's got power, but he doesn't have that power. And so Dan at least has told the truth long enough that we have to believe that, you know, whatever, his hands are tied in some kind of way. There's only so much he can do. And, you know, here we are. I'm willing to give Cash, and I was on X Spaces last night with a lot of people, and I'm willing to give Cash and Dan the you know, I think they're good guys. I've known them. I think they're good guys. I've known, you know, I think they're good guys. And I don't know. I hate it because Dan's reputation in a big way has really been marred.
Yeah, it's good guys can be bought too. It sucks.
Well, I'm not going to make that accusation.
I don't know. I'm just saying
they've
they
been
can
bought.
be.
And I'm not saying they've been like received money. Like we're
That's
not making
not
that
what I mean.
accusation. Yeah,
You
I know what
can
you
be
mean.
you can be bought,
but you
by
got to
something
clarify
against
that.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to clarify that.
I don't mean they're being bought, paid for with cash money, but I could say maybe there's something they're holding over them.
Well, I can tell you, you know, I said this morning on Dear America, and you know, I don't think I'm right about this, but it's worth thinking about and discussing, is what if someone in the administration pulled Dan off that show in order to silence him? Like, what if they gave him that position in the FBI and they made it where Trump was wanting him to serve in that role, but that way he wouldn't talk in light of certain things that were going to come to pass. Now, again, it is fair for us as a Trump supporter, guys. I am a supporter of this administration. Pam Bondi's the only one that really just kind of really pisses me off. But this administration, I approve of what they're doing. I approve of the winning, so I shouldn't have to clarify all that. You know, I'm on record with all this. But I think it's fair that we play devil's advocate.
You have to. You can't just go in blindly trusting anybody.
And I'm not making an accusation. I'm not saying necessarily that's what I believe, but I think it's something worth floating out there at least to discuss. And, you know, people are going to come at me and say, well, you're anti-Trump. Stop. See, that's the rhetoric everybody's got to stop.
Yeah.
That you can't criticize, you can't speculate, you can't discuss or dialogue. That's the curse of the internet world and generation that we've
I criticize and judge everybody. So,
I mean, it just, you know, you can't do this. You can't do this and say that we're putting somebody on a Messiah pedestal and say they just do no wrong. I mean, that's just not fair. And that's not reality either. And it's dishonest.
Yeah.
It's just dishonest.
I just don't like it's there's some other things that happened too, that a conspiracy theory that when Levitt gave her thing the other day, that she wasn't wearing a cross around her neck.
Yeah. Because she knew she was going to lie.
She knew she was going to lie.
I didn't like her response on that. But again, Carolyn Levitt's, her job is to defend the administration.
No, Hunter,
That's
I
her
get
job.
that. I get that. She's
but anyway, pretty interesting.
Yeah. I was watching the press conference, and I started switching channels because I want to see who else is playing it. Nobody. Fox News was the only one that was playing the thing that I could find.
This morning's cabinet meeting?
Yeah,
or
the
yesterday's press conference?
No, the cabinet meeting today.
Gotcha.
Now, that's not saying I didn't check CNN, but I checked the MSNBC. I checked a few others of the ABC and stuff like that. They weren't playing it. They'll just pull their sound bites later.
And I know we're supposed to go to in our notes here, we got Kristi Noem sharing that story from the Texas flood. I don't have the emotional bandwidth to watch that just yet, and may not today. I've already had to hear so much going on, and I just let's skip over that one real quick, Mr. Producer. Let's go over to these amnesty talks, and this is what Trump had to say. about he really kind of shut that down. Let's play this clip.
There's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program. Do you want to explain that, please?
Yeah, this morning we talked about, of course, this was a top of mind question. This morning we talked about protecting the farmers and the farmland, but obviously this president's vision of no amnesty, mass deportation continues, but in a strategic way, and then ensuring that our farmers have the labor that they need. Secretary Chavez DeRimmer has been a leader on this. Obviously this comes out of the Labor Department, but moving toward automation, ensuring that our farmers have that workforce, and moving toward an American workforce. So all of the above.
We've got to give the farmers the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty. There's no amnesty.
Yeah, I'm not 100% amnesty. I know I'll get a little hate on that here. I'm not against it 100%. If somebody came over here 30 years ago and they've been in this country and doing everything legal and right, we have to find a way, because they could have been raised over here. If they were brought over here when they're 5 years old and they're adults now, you're going to send them back to their home country?
Well, I know you've had time.
You've had time, and I know people that have done it and had the time and got their citizenship. And
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
like
that's
that.
the argument by the letter of the law is a tough one to defend on that one, because you've had the time. And listen, there's people who come across the border on work visas. We've talked about that. That's been a thing that's always happened around the borders.
I think
They go home.
but
They
I
go
think-
home.
Don't you think, case by case? Now, I'm not saying the criminals, get rid of them.
No,
You can't get them out of here fast enough.
You got to figure out one of two things: either there's a path to citizenship, or they leave.
Yeah.
It can't be watered down. It's got to be all or nothing. And I'm a person that's all about grace, but
It shouldn't take 10 years for a path to citizenship.
no, it shouldn't.
And it shouldn't take 3 days. I mean, there has to be something. I don't know where that sweet spot is.
And I'm not one of those who says that the path to citizenship should be easy. I think there ought to be some investment in it. I think there needs to be, something that really proves that you're wanting to assimilate and be a part of this country. But you can do it, and it's expensive, and it's time consuming, and
And you have to learn English if you're going to come over here and drive.
You have to learn
If
English.
you're going to drive a truck up and down our highway for the commercial driver's license, yes, you should be able to speak English. You should be able to speak to anybody that you're going to run over in your truck, or to the police officer that
Right.
stops you, or anything like that.
Well, let's look at this about the mass deportations, and again, I think in terms of prioritizing, yeah, it should be the criminals. It should be the people who are a blight on society, the people who have no intention of contributing to society. But at the end of the day, amnesty, I don't think so. So, to the left, this is a dystopian nightmare. Whose tweet is this? Let's scroll. Oh, that's End Wokeness. Mass deportations, all of those. Lower rent, crime drops, traffic eases, less spending, cleaner streets, jobs for citizens, English in public, cohesive society. So there you go. There's the list. I had someone, I guess it was one of the Krasenstein brothers, that came at me the other day about, there were several people who came at me on Saturday on social media talking about how borders aren't biblical. That argument, that statement is the dumbest thing.
Man, there's all kinds of borders and walls in the Bible.
I mean, read the book of Nehemiah. I mean, the whole thing is about building a wall, because without a wall, you don't have it. I mean, if you don't have borders, then tell me what the Romans sacked in 70 AD when they tore the walls of Jerusalem down and didn't leave one stone on top of another. If Jesus and his family, the great refugee story, if they went to Egypt, what is Egypt? How did they know they were in Egypt if there was no borders?
They were foreigners.
I mean, if they had to go to Bethlehem to register in the family of David, how did they know they were in Bethlehem and not back in Nazareth? How did they know if there's no borders? I mean, there's borders. That's just the dumbest argument in the world. But that's how stupid the left is when they want to come up with this stuff, and they want to try to gaslight you with a Bible verse and take Leviticus and say, oh, you treat the foreigner as one of your own, and you're kind to them and compassionate toward them. Well, first of all, in the Hebrew language, the word foreigner there is sojourner. A sojourner is not somebody that comes to stay. It's somebody that comes and then leaves and goes back home.
Well,
And you know what? We are kind to those people.
that's what I was going to say. We are kind to them. They get an airline flight back home. They could be put in a cargo container and sent the way they came.
I mean, nobody's being tortured around here.
Yeah.
People that are detained because they're criminals. You know, we did that story last week about that Iranian lady she bounced a check at whatever it was 15 years ago. And after they bombed Iran, she came up on a watch list because they were watching for sleeper cells. And they checked her out. And her husband said, I'm still supporting Trump. I mean, they detained her and went and investigated things. But again, that's going to be very different than somebody that's raping, murdering, pillaging, stealing, doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, they talk about, the same law for the foreigner and the natural born. Well, it also says there's one law for the foreigner. So you don't give special privileges to the law because somebody comes into this country. That's not compassion. That's a lack of justice.
Well, yeah. Well, they already broke the first law. Coming illegal.
Well, I mean, they didn't break the law. I mean, look at Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, on the day back on February 27th, when we were there at the White House, Marco Rubio, he told us, he said his 3 priorities is what makes us, stronger, what makes us more secure, and what makes us more prosperous. That's been his policy. He says he gives a monster list of recent Trump admin foreign policy wins, prevented a war between India and Pakistan, NATO at 5%, peace deal between DRC and Rwanda, ended the 12-day war. I mean, that Rwanda deal happened right there in his office.
Yeah.
And so
that didn't really get very much coverage.
Well, the lady on CNN on the panel with Scott Jennings, she was trying to tell him that it did not happen. And he was like, why don't you watch the news before you come on the news and try to tell us that something actually didn't happen?
That's all the news stations. They're just watching each other to see what they report so they can report the opposite.
Now, I'm not a fan of more weapons to Ukraine, but I don't know that full story either. So before I stick my foot in my mouth.
Well, I think we're just giving them enough to defend themselves, but not any more than that.
Well, I know he's disappointed with Putin. Putin's got to. But so, he gave that. And then, of course, let's talk about our friends over at Patriot Mobile before we go any further. Let's take a little break here. Our friends over at Patriot Mobile, I appreciate those guys so much for what they're doing. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, patriotmobile.com/Chad. You can head over there and do that. If you use promo code CHAD, I spell it Chad, they might just give you free activation, but they will give you a month free. And they make sure that they're not sending any portions of your bill over to the leftist causes like the big 3 do. And they use the same towers that the big 3 do, which means you're not going to have any drop calls. You're going to get great coverage. So there's no reason not to change over there. If you truly believe in a parallel economy, call Glenn and the guys over there at 972-PATRIOT and get a 100% U.S.-based customer service team. They'll answer the phone. And they got you covered because they believe in all the same things you do. First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights. And they're going to make switching easy. Choose a plan, choose a phone, get your SIM, activate your device. You can switch over to a new phone, old phone, whatever you need to do. They got whatever. And it's affordable. They got your iPhone. They got you whatever the other crap is. I don't even know. But I'm so appreciative of these guys. Go to patriotmobile.com/Chad. Use promo code Chad. Or call them on the phone. Tell them I sent you. They'll take care of you. Kamala. This is hilarious to me. Do you realize every day I am on my knees thanking the good Lord for the bullet we dodged. This is Colin Rugg. Kamala did an interview with Kareem Rama's Subway Takes. It was so bad they couldn't put it out. So that's a show where people are asked about their hot takes, and Harris allegedly told Subway Takes that her take was that bacon is a spice. Play the clip. Here we go.
Emailed me.
They got an email from the
DNC.
Okay.
And they said, hey, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are really interested in being on your show. I said, that sounds cool.
Okay.
I'll at least get to tell my daughter that I met the potential president of the United States.
Yeah.
And so I said yes, based on the fact that it would be a good story. And also they both had good takes.
What happened with Kamala?
Her take was really confusing and weird and not good. And so mutually agreed that we shouldn't publish it.
I see.
And I got lucky because I didn't want to be blamed for her losing.
Her take was that bad?
It was really, really bad, and it was like didn't make any sense. I can tell you, it was bacon as a spice. Bacon as a spice.
Release it now. Release
Emailed
it
me.
now.
They emailed. They got an email from.
I'd pay $5 to watch it.
I know they should release it now so we can make fun of her some more.
Let me break that down for you guys. And I know you guys have already broken it down in your heads because I'm not that smart and you don't need me to do this for you. But let me just say that the DNC thought it was so bad that they didn't blame this guy for not putting it out. And there's no telling how much money they paid him to put her on there. But the fact, see, he thought he's going to get in trouble for not releasing it. You know, Steve, over the years, we've had certain interviews that we couldn't release.
Yeah,
We've had some really bad ones.
It happens.
And but for you
We
to be
put
vice
some bad ones
president,
out too.
sometimes we put the bad ones out. We have, and I try to watch them back, and I'm like, I can't do it. Yeah. It's so please put it out.
Yeah.
And these
Nowadays, it's
podcasts
hard.
are out there.
Everything's live now, so for the most part. So
Yeah, like we're live. We're live. This is us. Woo!
this is like ready to put a foot in our mouth every day.
So you know, he was afraid he was going to get in trouble. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you right now. Regardless of whatever we're complaining about, no matter who's at each other's throat on X right now, no matter who's calling me out and mad at me, whatever, thank you that we got Donald Trump across the finish line. Thank you that we didn't have that. Can you imagine? Go back, pull that thing back up of the policy wins, the foreign policy wins. Go back and look at that list again and think about how it would have handled with the president talking about bacon as a spice and how she soaks her collard greens in the bathtub. Remember that? I got canceled of talking about that. Comedy Club in Kansas City canceled my weekend being there because I talked about her with her accent, talking about soaking it in collard greens in the bathtub.
You talked about her accent in her accent.
Well, I used all the accents. She had 7.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think traffic would be better under Kamala Harris? Less spending, cleaner streets? Would you have mass deportations? Would you have a cohesive society? Would anybody give a damn if we were speaking English?
Man, we still ain't caught up with Obama on mass deportation.
Nowhere close.
Nowhere close. And but we're not going to talk about that because this is just, everybody's got to hate on Trump.
Well, let me say this, and I'm not, let me say this. Let me go back to the Epstein thing for a second because I see somebody commenting, several people commenting that are a bunch of Johnny-come-latelys. Let me say this. I didn't like the, and I'll call it what it was. It was gaslighting. We're still going to talk about this guy. We're talking. We got all these other things to talk about, Texas and all these wins. Yeah, we're talking about it, and I almost think that it's like Trump thinks I'll just smooth it over and we'll just brush it under the rug and we'll just move on forward. I don't think he's going to get away with that on this.
Nope.
I don't think the American people are going to let this administration get away with it on this, on the Epstein thing. We went to the White House. We didn't go for the purpose of, in case y'all missed it this morning, and bear with me, I'll read you the letter. On behalf of the White House communications team and the Office of the Vice President, we are excited to invite you to a private meeting at the White House for selected creators. That was sent to me. Creators will have the chance to meet with the Vice President, J.D. Vance, Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, and key Trump administration officials for briefings on policy priorities and discussions on how creators can best communicate the Trump administration's ambitious policy agenda to the American people. This meeting is limited to a very small set of creators and must be kept strictly confidential in advance. Please do not post about it or discuss it with anyone. After the meeting, you will be able to post about your visit to the White House and use the information you learn from the briefings in your content. Please let us know if you're able to attend by Thursday, February 20th, so we can hold your spot. And then they give you the form where you fill out for the Secret Service.
They were using creators to try to create something.
They wanted us. Their whole initiative, the whole initiative was to bypass the mainstream media, which lies, and put it in the hands of creators, the new media, whatever they wanted to call it. And can I just say that in defense of guys like DC Drano and Rogan, Rogan O'Hanley, there's not Ann, he's the same person. When they brought us back up there to ask Carolyn Leavitt a question in the press briefing, they didn't even tell me why I was coming back to the White House a month later. He followed up on the Epstein thing. And she didn't like it. I was in the room. Trust me. She didn't like it. She didn't like that question.
Yeah, they're not going to like it.
But he felt like it was his duty after everything that happened with us with the binders to do that. But you can see we weren't invited there to talk about Epstein. But they chose to do that. Pam Bondi walked in the room and chose to do that and gave us the binders and said, you can look at them later, don't open them now. And then she talked about the letter of the FBI files that were there in the New York field office that she was supposed to get the next morning at 8 a.m. And then that got quiet too. So here we are. I just want everybody to see it. People think we went up there for that purpose. And anybody in my shoes would have done the same exact darn thing.
Yeah, I mean, if the White House called today and asked me to come up there, I would.
Of course you would. It's an honor.
Yeah, I would have went if it was Biden. I would have went if it was Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. But you know, we have this administration. I'm thankful for this administration. I was on that X space last night talking to however many people were on it about the successes of this administration. And, you know, you take Sean Duffy. I like Sean. I'm liking Sean Duffy as the Secretary of Transportation. He says truck drivers have got to speak English.
Isn't that what I just said a while ago? Maybe I stole it from him.
You could be the Transportation Secretary, dude. English is the language of the United States. Play the clip.
Also got some news on when it comes to trucking in the United States. And one thing that I think that it might be of interest to a lot of people are new rules requiring that if you want to drive an 18-wheeler on our roads with a commercial license, you're going to have to learn how to speak English and understand and read English so that you can be trusted to know all of the regulations and safety precautions required to drive these 18-wheelers.
Well, all the road signs, but also if you get in a car crash or if you're pulled over by law enforcement, you have to be able to communicate, you know, what you have on your truck, on your rig. Now, listen, this is not a new rule. By the way, the English only requirement or English proficiency requirement has been on the books for a long time. It's just that Barack Obama made sure that if you violated that rule, it was a slap on the wrist. We're going back to the old rule of we're going to put your rig out of service and make sure that you don't drive if you can't speak the language, which, again, this is just common sense. This is our language, English. If you're going to get on the road with one of these potentially dangerous vehicles, speak our language.
And
So, what do you think there in the chat, folks? Yes or no? I mean, the stop signs don't say alto.
Enforce the laws that are already on the books.
Which includes no amnesty, Steve.
Yep, I know.
I want to hear
Hey,
yes
I don't
or
agree
no.
with all traffic laws either, though.
Well,
But,
there's a
you
lot
know.
I don't agree with when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I get. There's way too many hazardous materials going up and down our highways.
Ask
To
the folks
not
in
be able to-
Palestine with the trains.
Yeah, they have to be able to communicate. Hey, this is whatever kind of chloride gas in the back of my truck that's about to blow up.
I mean, you know, this kind of stuff. And he is tan. He pull him back up there. He's got a tan, enviable tan there. Yeah.
Where's he live? Down in Florida? It's Florida man.
The Beltway of Washington, D.C. He is very tan. Looks like he's been in the booth. You know what I'm saying? Kind of got the whites around the eyes. He's kind of got the Trump thing going on.
Oh, wait, isn't he married to one of the Fox? Is he the one that's married to one of the Fox?
I do. To that, I don't have a clue.
I can't remember. Maybe I have to look that up later.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and here's the thing. We have people out there who are offended because there's laws, because there's rules. And there are. And, you know, people are offended by that. If you're offended by American rules, then you're more than welcome to try your luck in a country that doesn't have any of those. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, you see how far your freedom of speech gets you and your offendedness goes in North Korea.
His spouse is Rachel Campos.
Oh, yeah, Rachel Campos. That's right.
Yeah.
You know what? I did know that. Rachel Campos Duffy. I did know that.
I knew that name sounded familiar.
I did know that. But again, you know, that's the thing. Here in America, we got the laws that actually protect your right to be offended. And everybody's like, this is so bigoted. No, yeah. You know, the same laws. The people that wrote those laws weren't afraid of hard work. They weren't afraid of, you know, assimilating and taking responsibility and the concept of national identity. I mean, we got to have some national identity's got to come back. Here we go. All right. They admitted, this pissed me off, man. I don't know about you, but I would love to hear what you guys think. As an American citizen, have you ever said, I will be okay with weather modification? where they send the drones up into the clouds, they spray the chemical out into there, and it brings those drops of rain, that precipitation that's in the cloud that's not heavy enough to fall. It freezes and then it falls. And if it gets below the cloud, it melts and turns into rain, or it continues down as snow.
Yeah, I think the long-term effects of us seeding clouds and doing all that kind of stuff is going to be more harmful than good.
Well, it is. And I mean, I am not blaming weather modification I'm not blaming that on these storms in Texas. But they did admit that they did cloud seeding operations in Texas 2 days before the flood occurred. And again, it says, doesn't mean they're connected. Of course, that's what they're going to say. They're always going to say that. There were some other weather systems that were going on that may have played into the perfect storm, no pun intended. But, this is tragic.
The thing about it is, I know how desperate that area is or was desperate. Still, I think Canyon Lake's only half full.
47%.
Okay.
Canyon Lake, Texas.
I know they were desperate for rain.
They haven't been able
to grow crops there. I just, they don't need the water for that. They just need it for human consumption.
So they bring the water down for precipitation to be able to, you can go watch Sean Ryan's episode with the mullet-headed guy that looks like Joe Dirt that's kind of talking in defense of cloud seeding, of how they use that in order to bring water down and, precipitation, because it's, he does the whole science of the whole thing. But me, I got a problem with it. I mean, I am not one of these climate cultists that's worried about the earth will shake us off. I mean, it really can. It has the capability of doing that when it gets tired of us. But this kind of stuff, this weather manipulation thing, you're playing. And I will say this, dude, I'm enough conspiracy theorist. Y'all know this. You start taking into account Maui and Asheville, North Carolina, and all the other stuff that was going on with, the Pacific Palisades, which again, I think that was an arson deal. But man, the environment sure did lend itself to that place going up in flames. And here comes Gavin Newsom going to talk about, well, let's just put in some 15-minute cities. We're going to rebuild this thing. It's going to be fantastic. And you can't convince me that stuff wasn't going on in Asheville, North Carolina, with all of the legal things that have been going on for years and years and years, or Maui. They've been wanting that property forever. Can't convince me otherwise.
I definitely think there's some stuff going on, and I read into a lot of the whole. I forgot what it's, some kind of resonance. So the Earth's resonance were really off that day of the floods in that area. So it's just weird.
Well, I'm not a meteorologist, and I don't pretend to be one on television either. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, the Bible says that the creation groans longing for the revelation of the sons of God. I believe that there's redemption for the earth too, because it was thrown under a curse at the Garden of Eden as well. It became contrary to man. If you're a Bible-believing person, I am. And it became contrary. And the Apostle Paul says that the earth is longing for redemption as well, longing for the revelation of the sons of God, talking about, coming into its fullness. See, I believe when you die, I believe when it's all said and done, whenever that is, when it's all said and done, the Bible talks about a new heavens and a new earth. So I don't believe you just occupy heaven. I think heaven and earth, because the earth is going to be redeemed too. And I think I think we're going to spend eternity in a new heaven and a new earth.
And I think climate change is going to get us all someday.
But redeemed. It's all redeemed.
And, whether it's man-made climate change or whether it's climate change, either way, it's happening.
Yeah, and I see the comment there, Thomas. The rivers, the hill country flood every year, but rarely this severe. You're right. You're exactly right, because we've seen it firsthand. I mean, we're here. We've got a lot of friends and folks over in that area. We've helped them out. I mean, we've been there. But man, you keep messing with creation, dude. This government. And I don't know what they're up to. Maybe we're living in a freaking matrix, bro.
It's not just our government; it's the governments of the world. They're all working together.
Well, to an element, I think they are. And you like how I go from one breath of talking about biblical new heavens, new earth, and the creation groaning out, and then I say, maybe we're just living in a matrix.
It might be.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm not
It's
really.
crazy. It's
Not
crazy.
really.
But I do know this, that another biblical principle is about dominion over the earth and not just giving it over to, hell and its minions.
That's what my I had an uncle that we would go fishing and he would start talking about we have dominion over the earth and that's why we should be catching fish.
Well, I can make an argument for that. I mean, Jesus, he showed dominion over the earth numerous times. I mean, they let down the net. The catch was so big that the nets were breaking, the knots were breaking. Then he walked on the water. He calmed the water. I mean, there was this calm the storms. There's all these things. So again, Jesus was demonstrating a dominion over nature. And at the end of the day, it's a reverse of the curse, because the curse wasn't that there wasn't going to be any work. The curse on Adam was now the work was going to be toil and hard and sweat of your brow, back-breaking stuff. The earth was going to resist you. There was going to be thorns, thistles, roots, hard ground. And so that was going to be the deal. The whole purpose of redemption is to bring that back into order under a kingdom in which the earth works. And that's dominion. So I think we do. I think we do take care of the earth. I think we do, but not from the climate cultist perspective.
No, well, you can get all this AI kicked off and make everything easier for us.
Making us a bunch of thoughtless automatons, and that's a sad deal. Speaking of having dominion, boy, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, these people, man, this is Nick Sorter. Personally on the scene, attempting to obstruct immigration enforcement in the city. They need to leave. They need to leave now, Bass said. And Kristi Noem, we'll see what happens there. Let's play the clip. Here she goes. Here's a conversation.
I am going to say.
Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Okay. All right. Mayor Bass.
Mayor Bass.
Oh my
Any
God.
comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you.
Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak with?
Just wait and see.
Mayor Bass,
They will be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
The head of customs.
Wow.
Let's not forget that she used to summer down there in Cuba with Fidel Castro. She's a disciple of Fidel Castro's communism and had a whole lot to do with the discipleship of another bunch of folks out there that ended up bombing the Capitol building.
When are they going to start locking up these officials for blocking?
Well, they
these
have
guys?
been. They've been arresting some of them. But I mean, this is the same woman that went to Ghana and came back with zero accountability for her city being on fire. These people want to get arrested, though. That's the thing. That's the thing about communists, man. They just want to get arrested. They want to get that attention from all of that. California. Man, we got to pray. I tell you, we really do. We need to be praying about all of it because it's crazy. I'm praying for revelation and truth on this Epstein thing. I'm praying for wisdom for this administration. I'm praying that God will reveal so much that we're missing and bring some peace because everybody's at each other's throats. Take it easy, folks. Take it easy. I mean, we're catching so much hell because we were the ones that were there at the White House. I can tell you this. I talked to conservative Anthony Raimondo. I talked to him this morning because I had to smack him around a little bit. We were smacking each other around on Instagram because of some of his shut up.
I could go so many ways.
I know
that.
you can.
I love that guy.
I know you can. I love Ant. Ant is my friend. He is my friend, and let me tell you, we can smack each other around a little bit. But he was saying, he made a couple of things about, influencers holding up the binders or having the binders. And I called him out on that. I said, you have to understand, not a single person went to the White House that day with the intention of finding out anything about Epstein. But I can tell you this, every person that walked out of there that day was hopeful that we were going to get to the truth.
They showed a clip yesterday on TV showing y'all coming out, a replay of the clip of y'all coming out of the White House. They cut it off right before it got to you.
Yes.
I was like, does he have some pull to get that?
No,
snip?
I'm not
Well,
one of
you
them,
were
man,
hiding. You were hiding your face anyway.
I was
you
hiding
held
my
it up.
face.
All you saw was the top of your cowboy hat or something.
What amazes me is how many people think that the AI dance with us dancing around with the binders is legitimate. It's
Dude,
AI. If you think that video of us dancing with the binders, first of all, my arm keeps coming off in that video. You're not a serious person if you're not paying close enough attention to know that that's freaking AI. But when I walked out of there, I walked out and put the thing up in front of my face like this. They caught the picture of me like this, like pulling it up.
There was an AI deal out that was done yesterday, and it was Blake Shelton pulling kids out of the river, and it was obviously fake.
I'm so sick of this stuff, dude. Blake Shelton and what's his name?
Yeah.
Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan. But see, here's the thing. This is the letter that pissed me off right here that day. Because this is a letter I hold in my hands in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers. My little Rush Limbaugh right there. I hold in my hand my former nicotine-stained fingers. A letter from Pam Bondi. This was about demanding by 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio, and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients. Regardless of how much information was obtained, there will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. This was a letter she wrote to Kash Patel. And the Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with law, as I have done my entire career as a prosecutor. I'm also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel action within 14 days. Has anybody been fired? Has anybody in the New York field office that was withholding this stuff or destroying this stuff, has anybody been fired? Does anybody know about that? Because apparently there's been no personnel action that I know of. But what do I know? She says, I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our president and our country. I'll let you guys walk with that however you want.
And what did it say? It was phase one?
Phase one.
Yeah. Okay. Either, this is what why would you have it say phase one if there wasn't a phase two?
Yeah.
Or a phase three or a phase four. They made it sound like
these are not. It's not empty. People said this is just empty blank pages. It's not blank pages. I mean,
I read most of it. It's just listed for flight manifest stuff we already had.
Stuff we had. I had this stuff back at the Blaze. You can get it off of. The difference is the stuff I had at the Blaze, the old document that I have, doesn't redact the addresses and the phone numbers. Like it literally had Donald Trump's phone number in here.
Yeah. He changed that number, by the way.
But it had everybody in here. But just because they had that, associates don't mean clients. And then you get back here to the victims. I mean, that's completely redacted. You just have the numbers. But what this represents is how many people. I mean, these are masseuses. That's what they called them in here, masseuses. There are 254 names. They're redacted. There's 254 names in this book. We have victims who have claimed to have been raped by co-conspirators. Where are they? That's what I want to know. That's Megadittos. What's what I want to know.
Who are they?
All right, we got to go. Prathertees.com. Everything we sell this week, 100% of the proceeds are going to go to help flood relief. The folks down there will figure out where it needs to go. Prathertees.com. You go to watchchad.com. I'm going to be in northwest Arkansas in Lowell. It's just north of Fayetteville. At what is it called? Anyway, it's a comedy club over there. And we're going to be there. Go to watchchad.com. It's where all the fun stuff is. And then next week, Party Foul Steve and I are going to be over in Zanies in Nashville. This weekend's the Grove Comedy Club. One show Friday night, 2 on Saturday. Get your tickets. Come hang out. Then we're in Zanies. We're doing our annual show at Toccoa, Georgia. And we were going to do Savannah, but we had to reschedule it. I need to go see my mother while I'm in Georgia.
Let's do it. Let's go see her.
And then we got a
drop you off.
Then we got a show in Lubbock and tons of stuff. What else is there? Here we go, Trent. Good, Trent. Been in Hawaii for the last 10 days on a family vacation, just catching up on missed episodes. I want to say that your Independence Day episode was a work of art. Thank you. My favorite episode so far. Thank you. It was. I felt like it was. I was inspired to do it. That's what I felt like. And anybody else? We got anything else? I don't. This ain't Graham Allen's show, man. Graham.
Yeah, I liked
money
it this
in.
morning. Somebody, you're going to get $10 from Graham. Someone gave you a super chat and called you out on it. You should get that money.
I should. Yeah.
Like if everybody puts $5 in and says my name, I should get it, right?
Let's hold that breath. And see. I will tell you before I let you go see Hot Seat Todd in an hour. And also, we'll be back with Dear America tomorrow morning. And we have a brand new, whole rebranded Chad Prather Show coming your way. I'm thinking probably the first week of August. This whole deal is about to look different. It's about to look different. We're going to rebrand it. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. It's going to be same old me, but we're rebranding because we need to. We just need to, dadgummit. Every now and then you got to put on a new. Papa's got a brand new bag. Come on. Go to kiss myself.
Do I need to get a suit? Do I need to wear
Hollywood,
a suit?
hot tub. I feel like doing a new thing. James Brown.
I might get a haircut and wear a suit.
That's crazy. I was tempted to shave all this off and just leave the mustache.
I almost cut all my hair off last week.
You did? What were you thinking,
I was
man?
Close. I was because I was in that barbershop. I went to this old, like this Mexican barbershop. And they were in there putting some fades on some dudes. And I was like, man, that's a good job. I almost tried it out.
Your wife would not be happy, buddy.
No, she'd be happy with it. She likes me however I am. So she tells me.
Well, I'm not going to say anything that's going to sound gay, but I liked it when you had them real long.
Yeah.
You're too old for that nonsense now.
Am I?
Gay? I thought about it. I was tempted. But I look like a thumb in a cowboy hat when I do that. All right, I got to drink all my Make Wellness. You can go to watchchad.com, join my Make Wellness team. And yeah, going to rock and roll. We're going to get out of here. Watchchad.com. Check it out. Make sure you hit like, you hit subscribe, you hit share, you do all the obligations that you need for Party Foul Steve. You can follow him on social media at Party Foul Steve, at David Medina PDX. Follow him on the socials as well. That's our producer. And of course, you can follow me. I appreciate you guys. I hope to see you out on the road, but I will definitely see you tomorrow morning, or I might see you on Newsmax a couple of times this evening. They got me coming on there talking about the same old thing, and I'm glad to do it. So I appreciate you guys, and I'm praying for you. Please pray for me. I love you. God bless you. I will talk to you in the morning. Until then, bye.